Hi, my name's Barry Crampton. Today I'm going to talk to you about yet another bunch of embarrassing headlines from the EV shills, and I'll show you why. So here we go, we've got our favourites, the SMMT, and don't forget the SMMT represent all of the motor trade, all of it, everybody. You wouldn't think so, because when you actually see the headlines here, pre-loved EVs soar to record levels as used car market goes green. Pre-loved. The EVs aren't just used cars, they are pre-loved. And they've soared to record levels as the used car market goes green. The used car market is up 4.3% in quarter three. But it says here, pre-loved EVs soared by 57% to 53,423 units, recording largest market share at 2.7%. Well, hang on a second. The used car market's up 4.3%. Pre-loved EVs have soared by 57% to 53,423 units, and they've got a market share, complete market share, total market share, out of 100% of the market, EVs have 2.7%. Now, does that sound like the soaring to you? Because if I'm honest, it doesn't to me. So let's just do some calculations. Here we go. Pre-loved EVs have soared by 57% to 53,423 units. Now if we go, this is quarter three in 2024. So if we go back to the SMMT report for quarter three 2023, we'll see here, let's try and find the battery electric vehicles. This is last year's headline. Battery electric vehicle BEVs sales soar by 99.9%, recording 1.8 market share. We'll try and find the figures, the actual figures. Here we go. Battery electric vehicles doubled in the quarter, reaching a record market share as volumes rose by 99.9% to 34,021 units. So 34,21. 53,423, oops, 53,423 minus 34,021 equals, so they've gone up by 19,402 since last year. Let's just check their maths. So 34,021 divided by 53,423%, because it's not unknown for the SMMT to get things wrong. I'll make it 56.4% that the increase is. So anyway, they've gone up 19,402. So our market is up 4.3%. Used cars have sold 1,965,811. But don't forget, pre-loved EVs soar to record levels as the used car market goes green. So they've sold an extra 19,402 EVs. 19,402 divided by 81,651%. Used vehicle sales have gone up, but it's not EVs that have soared to record levels as the used market goes green, because it hasn't gone green. You know, it just hasn't gone green. It's not EVs that are selling. 1965811 minus 52,423 equals, there's 1,913,388 vehicles being sold that aren't EVs, and 53,423 that are EVs. just 2.7% of the market. How do you get that headline? How is it possible to get that headline? But not only that, how is it possible to say that the market's gone green when, for instance, they've sold, just on their own, they've sold 77,908 Ford Fiestas, 64,681 Vauxhall Corsas, 59,380 Volkswagen Golfs, 57,327 Ford Focuses. How is it possible to say, well, let's just go to some others. The usual suspects. Colin Walker again. Used car market sees 4.3% growth driven by record electric vehicle sales. So that's AM Chatter, AM Online. We'll just go there. Used car market sees 4.3% growth driven by record electric. Oh, look, it's Amy Turner. Who would have thought that Amy Turner is writing driven by record? But I've already said that it's not driven by EVs, because another 75% of the increase is not EVs. So how can it be driven by EVs? It's just not. Misleading headline, misleading crap. And then we go down. An increase of 81,651. Battery electric vehicles saw a record surge with 53,000. It's not a record surge, is it? It's 19,000 cars. Now, again, to put that into perspective, let's just go back again. $19,000 cars. 38,751 Volkswagen Polos were sold. $19,402 EVs, more EVs were sold. Well, Ford Fiestas, there was 24,485 more Fiestas sold than all the EVs. Every single make, model and colour EV, they were outsold by Ford Fiestas by 24,000, which is more than the increase in EVs. Here we go. I get some message off Fred Taylor, Barry Crampton, is this true? And the message here is GB News, used electric vehicle sales soar to record high as British drivers warned of urgent priority. Colin Walker again, our friend. Second-hand EV market grows 57% year on year. Comes on back of Auto Trader's recent finding that 3 to 5 year old EVs are at 19 days the fastest selling car segment on their platform. Fair to say second-hand EV market is in good health. It's not in, Cole, it's not in good health, mate. It's 2.7%. There's all those EVs out there that are actually cheaper than petrols now, and people still aren't buying them in the numbers needed. That is not good health. And again, he quotes the SMMT, pre-loved, they're all in on the action. We've got the next version. Finish this sentence. This is Auto Trader. I'd choose an electric vehicle because, and it's for someone I don't like. Now, you know, that's not true. I like electric vehicles, and you know I do. But it's just relentless pony. Absolutely relentless. Non-stop garbage. And it's all of them. The whole lot, the usual suspects. How about this for a statistic? Red cars sold 198,215. Nearly 4 times more than EVs. Just red cars sold nearly 4 times more than EVs. White cars, 305,743. 4 times more than all the EVs of every different make, model and colour. Blue cars, 315,966. Again, 4 times more. Grey cars, 346,934. Over 4 times more than all the make, model, colours of EVs. Black cars, 416,279. Black cars outsold EVs by 362,856 units. That's outsold. Let's see. 362,856 divided by 53,423 equals. Black cars outsold EVs by 6.8 times. The headline: pre-loved EVs soar to record levels as used car market goes green. Well, actually, green used cars sold 32,804 on their own. Just green, and green is probably the most unpopular colour. And until the Lamborghini green came out, green cars very, very unpopular, because they used to say, oh, you can't see them if there's trees at the background when you're pulling out, you can't see a green car coming. So that's the most unpopular colour, and it's still only 20,000 short of the total number of EVs sold. The headlines are just absolute rubbish from the same people over and over again. All the same people. Andy Palmer, here we go. Tom Callow, demand for used electric cars is on the up. It's not. Well, it is, but demand for ICE cars is on the up more. You can't keep coming up with this rubbish. You just can't. It's lies. It's misinformation. These are the people that are telling you there's a big conspiracy theory on EVs. Lots of misinformation. And they're the ones that are giving the misinformation. Demand for used electric cars is on the up. It is, but, not a lot. Not as much as it needs to be. And of course, I've told all these people, I've given them the figures. Again, Andy Palmer, Q3 UK used car data from SMMT. Following record-breaking new EV sales, used EV sales are up. Car market up 4.3 in quarter three as almost 2 million vehicles change hands. EVs don't even make up the odds at the end of the 1.9 million. It's so sad that these people have to retweet and prostitute themselves, embarrass themselves with such misleading headlines. Dr. Andy Palmer introduced the Nissan Leaf, introduced the Valkyrie. He's now a champion for green energy, is it? Let me just see. Now on a mission to help the planet. That's his mission now. His mission to help the planet is by getting paid to introduce the Aston Martin Valkyrie, because that's a real green car, isn't it? That's really showing us the way. He's introduced the Nissan Leaf, which is probably the worst car on the road. That and the Renault Zoe, I would say, are probably the worst cars on the road. But he feels the need to point that bit out. And I've sent him the correct information, pointing out that black cars sold. Once again, black cars matter. EVs, not so much. It's just wrong. Colin there again. Colin Walker. Used car sales at a new high after drive to electric. Auto Trader UK said demand has rocketed this year. Rocketed! Especially among the middle-aged electric cars, which on average are the same price, if not less, than their petrol or diesel counterparts. It makes me sad, honestly. This is Auto Trader, the biggest name in the UK motor trade. That's not a good thing. They cost more, new, and at the same age and mileage, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, they're worth less than a nice car. Why do you think that is? Because you have to make them attractive. If it was left to a choice between a nice car and an EV, at the prices, people would choose the ICE car. So you have to make them attractive. That means depreciation. There's no other way. There's no other way to explain it. It's not a positive. It is not a positive. And you've got Auto Trader there saying it like it is. It's not. I just happened to notice one of the big EV shows was saying he couldn't fill his showroom the other week. Couldn't get enough EVs to sell. EVs are going up this month. They tell us that EVs have gone up in the guide. If that was the case, just once more, why do you think an EV expert, it isn't the EV experts that advertises that, it's another self-proclaimed EV expert, an all-round smarty pants, but used EVs have gone up. On the 14th of the 10th, 2024, he'd reduced it by £1,000, and then on the 1st of the 11th, 2024, he's reduced it by £3,000. Does that sound like they're going up to you? Because it doesn't to me. Okay, then we've got another headline here. Collapse in used EV values hits leasing profits. There you go, 7th of November. Pre-tax profits for FN50 has fallen by almost a third, 31.6% year on year after hitting 2 billion for the first time last year. Record-breaking used car prices driven by the semiconductor shortage pushed FN50 report pre-tax profits to a new high in 2023. However, a collapse in battery electric vehicles (BEV) used values has impacted the financial performance of the FN50 this year. Collectively, the FN50 reported pre-tax profits of 1.39 billion, down 645 million on the 2.04 billion achieved last year, and slightly less than the 1.5 billion reported by the FN50 in 2022. With the slump in residual values, RVs driving the decline in profits, FN50 companies actually reported record revenues in 2024. The turnover of FN50 companies reached 13.6 billion at 1.65 billion, 13.7% increase on the 12 billion reported last year. Record revenues not being matched by an increase in profits has therefore negatively impacted the FN50 average profit margin, a ratio derived from a company's profit divided by its revenue. FN50 2024 figures suggest it has fallen from 17% in 2023 to 10% this year. On average, values of used EVs for cars at the same age and mileage point have more than halved value since September 2022, having fallen for 24 consecutive months. The price of a lease is designed to account for the depreciation of a company car over the typical 3-year lease period based on an estimated resale price, or RVs. But if the second-hand prices end up being lower than anticipated when the lease ends, leasing firms take a financial hit when they get the vehicle back. Philip Northard, Insight and Strategy Director, used to work at CAP at Cox Automotive, said the fleet and leasing sector is underpinning the transition to EV, but how long is that sustainable for? They need a very strong and viable remarketing secondary usage. That isn't there right now. With the onset of new entrants and price wars, falling confidence in used EV values is already pushing up lease rates. With FM50 companies responsible for 75% of new EV registrations, the BVRLA says the status quo is unsustainable. Hey, I didn't say it. The discounts are unsustainable. Even with the discounts, they still can't sell enough vehicles. They're not selling enough used vehicles to make any significant impact. You know, I mean, to me, it looks all downhill. It really does look all downhill. There's only 16,000 used EVs available on Auto Trader. But 1,960 something thousand, only 16,000 used vehicles on Auto Trader. Why haven't they sold? One more question for you. Let me just go back here. Now, Auto Trader bought a leasing company, Vanarama. I'm not an accountant, so I'm just going to give you kind of my views here. But if I go on there, we'll go on to the story. Auto Trader Group sees boosting revenue and profits despite Autorama losses. Well, you know, revenue for the group rose 8% to 302.5 million in the first half. Auto Trader business boomed while Autorama arm still returned loss. Now, I find these figures, as I say, I'm not an accountant. Perhaps somebody out there will know better than me and can explain to me, because I'm genuinely asking this question because I genuinely want to know. I think that James Batchelor or James Baggett from Car Dealer Ed, I think they should have been asking questions about these figures, because there are some, in my mind, there's some important questions here. A, because Auto Trader are telling us one thing, and they've actually got a real good snapshot of the market on sales, what they're selling, and disposals. So let's try and find here. The group managed to narrow losses at its Autorama division from a 5.6 million loss in the first half of The group managed to narrow losses at its Autorama division from a 5.6 million loss in the first half of 2024 to a 2.8 million loss in the first half of 2025. Have I been hibernating? I don't know, unless it runs from, but it's not 2025 anyway. Revenue stood at 19 million, down 10% on H1 2024's 21.1 million, while Autorama delivered 3,180 vehicles during the period, comprising 841 cars, 2,018 vans and 321 pickups. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot to me. Auto Trader are very big at the moment on making podcasts and videos telling us how to sell cars and how to value vehicles, and that EVs are going up and we shouldn't be frightened of them. They've only sold 841 cars. Commenting on the results, Auto Trader CEO Nathan Coe said, "As well as the hard work and commitment from everyone right across our business, I believe the performance of the last 6 months is a testament to the partnerships we've built with our customers." They've got a 2.8 million loss and they've sold 3,180 vehicles. As I say, I'm not an accountant, but 2.8 million divided by 3180. That's kind of a... They're losing £880 for every vehicle they've sold. How can they do that? Could it possibly be the vehicles that have come back off lease, especially the EVs, which they've disposed of and they have absolutely tanked? Could it be that? Are they still paying for vehicles that they sold years ago on lease? Probably even before, I don't know, it won't be before Auto Trader. Are they still getting bitten by the EVs they sold years ago that are now coming back and aren't worth anything like the amount that the underwriters thought they would achieve? Is that where the £880 per vehicle has gone? I'd really like to know. And I'd also like to know what percentage of those vehicles they've only sold 841 cars. Every single page on Auto Trader. If you go onto Auto Trader, let me just go onto Auto Trader. Let me see if I can find Safari. Where's Safari? There's Safari. So we'll go onto Auto Trader. So every single page there will be a leasing advert. Because I can't find one now. Let me go into make and model. So make and model. So make and model. Austin. Oh, I'm going to go into electric vehicles. Trade sellers. We'll go to the top. Into electric vehicles. Search 22,081. 22. It's up to 22,000 now. That's gone up from just over 20,000. I think it was 20,200 the other day. It's now up to 22,081. You know, the markets, the cars are coming on the market. All that's going to do, if they don't keep them down to between 15 to 20,000, I think depreciation is that's going to skyrocket. Depreciation is going to skyrocket, not sales. We'll make a model. What should we do? We'll do a Citroen. Search 363 cars. And then as we go down here, let me just say, there we go. Wait for it to come up. But there's a lease deal. The amount it must cost, you know, for me to put an advert of my car on every single page for a lease deal, I'd love to know the amount of that. I would love to know Autorama, Vanarama's advertising bill. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. But it must be terrible. It must be terribly difficult being an EV shill. How can you draw positives out of this news? How can you? More Ford Fiestas sold than all the EVs put together. A lot more Ford Fiestas sold than all these EVs put together. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.